to the 8th episode in our AI and You podcast series. Today is Monday, September 7th, 2020, and I'm your host, Vicar Saidi. I'm a computer scientist and engineer, a lecturer and a consultant. I'm also the author of several books. My most recent book is about artificial intelligence and is titled The Genome Affair. The Genome Affair is a work of speculative fiction. It examines what the world might be like if some of the more extraordinary capabilities forecast to be realized in AI over the next 20 to 30 years were actually realized today. Given the growing list of frightening existential threats humankind now faces, the book pays particular attention to the impact AI is expected to have on world affairs. The book is available in ebook format for those who prefer to read on a digital device, but it's also available in a high-quality paperback edition. The Genome Affair is available on Amazon, so I hope you'll take the time to read it and to leave a review. Book reviews are very helpful for writers. I'm available to give talks on artificial intelligence and its related technologies, and on the impact AI is expected to have on our world. If you'd like to get in touch with me to arrange a web-based event or consulting meeting with your company or organization, you can find my contact info in the podcast notes below. And now, on to today's podcast. In our last podcast, episode 8, I talked about why we should care about artificial intelligence and its enabling technologies. I also shared some fascinating news and developments from Neuralink, announced in late August 2020. Neuralink is a company focused on brain-machine interfaces and was founded by Elon Musk, who also founded Tesla and SpaceX. In today's podcast, episode 9, I'll talk about excellence versus innovation in industry and society and its implications on the development of AI agents. I'll also talk about the notion of the genius as it relates to artificial intelligence. Let's get started. Steve Jobs passed away from pancreatic cancer in 2011. Jobs is still considered one of the most innovative and creative geniuses of the late 20th and early 21st centuries. Over a period of nearly 4 decades, he repeatedly demonstrated an extraordinary vision of what technology could and should be like, and how it ought to look and function. Jobs championed his unique vision with furious passion and an explosive determination that crushed any obstacle in his path. This often included his employees, and as a result, he ruffled many feathers and alienated many people. Although he was a deeply passionate, creative, innovative, and visionary genius, at the time of his death, Jobs' treatment of others had left his reputation wanting. But what exactly do people mean when they call someone a genius? Generally speaking, a genius is someone who changes the way we previously thought about things. Genius isn't about mastering a large volume of data or a large number of facts. Rather, it's about making connections or novel associations that few others, or perhaps no one else, has been able to do. More than anything else, genius is characterized by divergent thinking. Surprisingly, though, even with his near limitless energy and creativity, Jobs could never have found employment in the great technology companies of his time, the very same companies who were overrun by his creative destruction and innovation. Storied names in American technology, including Bell Labs, Hewlett-Packard, and IBM, required their employees to have formal academic credentials from leading institutions specializing in computer science, engineering, and related scientific disciplines. But Jobs held no such credentials. Furthermore, to be selected to work on the most advanced, exciting, important, innovative, and prestigious projects within these companies, employees were once again screened based upon formal credentials. The companies and their various teams had no protocols or mechanisms for evaluating an individual's potential for creativity, vision, or innovation. These companies were dogmatic and doctrinal, and deeply bureaucratic in their approach to administration, research and development, talent management, and virtually every other corporate function. As I was preparing today's podcast, I was reminded of the Italian Renaissance, which was preceded by the Black Death in the middle of the 14th century. The plague killed so many people that established norms and long-held views surrounding acceptable behaviors in society were no longer inviolable or sacred. Centuries of irreproachable dogma and doctrine became difficult to enforce, or were now altogether ignored by leaders of society. In this environment of rebirth, inflection, new ideas, new ways of thinking, and unbounded ways to approach life, the historical record bears witness to advancement in virtually every domain of human endeavor: agriculture, discovery and exploration, pedagogy, religion, science, and technology, all embarked on a path of dramatic change not seen since the fall of Rome in the late 5th century, the beginning of the Dark Ages. Some societies, particularly in Asia, maintained their long-established dogmatic, doctrinal approach to culture, governance, and society, and as a result, their civilizations stagnated. Meanwhile, the Europeans roared ahead through the Renaissance, Enlightenment, Industrial Revolution, colonialism, and imperialism. Nevertheless, Steve Jobs, Bill Gates, and other entrepreneurs of the late 20th century recognized the value of professionals raised in dogmatic, doctrinal companies and industries. They realized they needed the administrative expertise these rigid cultures so effectively cultivated to manage their own administrative functions in a competent manner. They knew that the dogmatic, doctrinal approach so prevalent within academic or corporate cultures throughout America, and more generally in all human societies, were very effective at producing experts, since their environment stressed a rules-based approach to learning certain disciplines. Accounting, banking and finance, business operations, law, lobbying, and taxation were key examples of critically important corporate functions that rigid academic and corporate cultures were so adept at consistently reproducing. But such regimented cultures as we might find in the orderly, straight-laced, rules-based societies of New England, New York, or the American Midwest were very unlikely to produce the revolutionary breakthroughs so familiar to us today, the extraordinary innovations that were so commonplace in unbounded cultures of the past, such as Renaissance-era Florence or late 20th century California. As we understand and reflect more on the complex cultural differences in organizations and societies that are most adept at nurturing experts or innovators, we must remain cognizant of these effects and influences on our design of artificial intelligence agents enabled through machine learning. Our biases around these cultural subtleties will influence the way the AI agents learn in the same way we are influenced by our environment and context. Recently, an AI agent at Amazon used to screen applicants for potential employment with the company was found to have a strong bias for white males. This AI agent was trained on the HR database accumulated at the company over the past 20 years, and so it was simply replicating the bias intrinsic in that dataset. Setting aside the white male bias found in this particular case, in most companies, if an AI agent is used to identify talent that should be recruited, it is likely to follow the expert model rather than the innovator model, since most companies are expert-driven rather than disruptor or innovator-driven. Both experts and innovators are important. We need our surgeons and concert violinists to be experts. But we need to be aware of how we are conditioning and training our artificial intelligence agents. As discussed in podcast number 7, Professor Gardner at Harvard has confirmed 8 distinct forms of intelligence, but believes there may be 10 to 12 different types. Additionally, the nuanced interaction between the cortex, limbic system, and reptilian or regulatory brain must be taken into account as we develop narrow AI agents today. As we develop general artificial intelligence agents in the future, these issues will become even more critical, since many thought leaders in AI believe that general AI agents and superintelligence will pose a species-level risk to Homo sapiens. Thank you for spending some time with me. I'm trying to follow the TED Talk format, and so I'm keeping these podcasts to about 20 minutes or so. Let me know what you think. I hope you'll find these insights into artificial intelligence helpful, and I hope you'll read my new book, The Genome Affair. It's on Amazon. Until next time then, this has been the AI and You podcast with author Vicar Saidi.